Okay, so out for the maiden voyage. Pop the LCD on, and the battery level goes immediately down one. It always does on these WLToys little screens. It always happens that way. And I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but the icon for the receiver, so basically the quad battery, is off until you plug it in. So it's got some sort of setup on it, which is pretty good. And then it doesn't work until you bind, and then we're bound, and then we've got full battery charge. I'm going to start recording a little bit of video. Now that should be going, and I just always double check it when it's first flight out, just to make sure that little red LED is working. And then I'll take off normally, and then we'll see how we get on after that. So these motors always sound a little bit rattly to me, but we'll see how we get on. Oh, not too bad actually, having said that, how rattly they are. So just got to let that just sort of get itself about level, and that's probably the wind making that drift. If not, we can trim it out if need be. So definitely with the wind catching it and it's blowing it back the same way. It's a way of checking the trim. If you can point it in two directions, it still keeps going the same way, then it is definitely a wind issue. That's on full roll, and as you can see, it's not the most aggressive in low rates, which you wouldn't expect. And the yaw is quite tight actually. Actually flies quite nicely. Nice and smooth. Just remembered there's a tree there. You might notice the top of that tree is just a little bit cut from other quad practices. But no, it's flying really nicely. I never really like these doing the big flips actually, but we'll give it a go anyway. So it wasn't bad actually. Never a big favour with them. There we go. It just loses a bit of height, then comes back up. So I would always do it a little bit higher than that. You should do. So I'll try the return to home before we go too far. And that's that one, and it could go in any direction. I'm afraid it's just the way they work. Oh no, it's not bad actually. Sort of where I took off, wasn't it? It was coming in at speed. We'll just try that again from over there, see whether it was just a bit of a fluke. So try that again. Yeah, see, it's going off in that direction. So it's sort of constantly having a little drift over there. It's got altitude hold, but it's not GPS locked or anything, so the wind's just taking it and just it's drifting around quite a little bit, sort of thing, as you can see there. And the LEDs are actually pretty good. Can't really see those little front ones, but the red and the green are certainly good. Yeah, they're certainly impressive. They're nice, and you can see them if you happen to be flying it below you. There's not many instances where you would, but you can see it quite clearly. But certainly, even from underneath up into a brightish sky, it's still flying. So there we go. We've had a little bit of a play around in low rates. I'll just give it one go in headless mode, so we get this flashing all the time, and you can tell it's in headless because it can spin and it can keep going in one direction, sort of thing. So it's not really one of my favourites, headless mode. I'm going to turn that back off again. Oh, sorry, I've not been looking at the FPV. I've been busy watching it. It's actually FPV is actually quite good. The screen's quite active, I would say. Yeah, I'm quite impressed with that. The wind is really picking up. I'm going to pop it up into higher rates. And now we've got a little bit more. Hey, that's actually quite nice. Yeah, that flies fine. Nice stuff. It's only holding against the wind. I've got quite a breeze on my back now, so in this garden the wind will whip around because of the trees, so it can go in virtually any direction. Well, let's just see. Yeah, no, that screen FPV is actually pretty good. Quite sort of active. Yeah, it's better than a lot. I have had up to 3-second delay. That's kind of worrying, especially if you're going to use it for FPV. That would never ever work. So I'll stop the video. That wind is just blowing it back towards me. And then I'll actually do a still shot. We'll just see how we get on with the still, but it will be exactly the same quality as the video. There we go. Just do that. Yeah, it really is drifting around. This is purely the wind that's catching it. And then we'll put the video back on. Yeah, that's quite nice actually. The FPV is very good on it. Oh, we got the, of course we can tilt the camera up and down as well, which is rather nice. If it would stay in position, we could. So as you see, it's more or less pointing down at me there, sorry. It's just pointing down now a little bit. And I'll just put it back up. Yeah, rather good. Nice and smooth on the controls. A nice little transmitter actually. I mean, it's definitely a toy grade one, but it's pretty smooth. Hey, I don't know what angle that camera is, but it's quite nice. And that's full off with the throttle, so it's not coming down aggressively by any means. I'll just do a little bit of a kick out as well. And it's raining, there's a big surprise. 3, 2, 1. That's full throttle, so, and that's throttle right off. So I think we've got a few spots of water on the actual lens itself now. Yeah, it looks like it. It's certainly got some kicking around, which is a shame. Very good. That's a decent length flight. I noticed the video keeps dropping, so whether or not it records like for 2 minutes or something or other, or 3 minutes. That flies really nicely actually. I'm getting really wet now. I was expecting a little bit too much. April in the Highlands of Scotland, and yeah, you are going to get wet if you come out flying for a few minutes. And we've definitely got some spots on that, on the actual lens on the camera now. Well, I'm going to have to stop, I think, rather than just run the battery out. I'll pop back out and run the battery out, and then I'll put the final things in at the end. Let's just bring that down. I'll tell you what, I'll just do an emergency stop. Let's just bring it down to about there. I'll just show you what happens with the emergency stop. Hold those 2 buttons down, wallop. Now, I don't think I've actually done a normal landing. A normal landing would just come in nice and slow and just pull the throttle right off. There we go. I love the way it just cuts out as soon as it hits down. It's very good indeed. So I've stopped the video now, and I'm going to go in because I'm getting soaked. Nice and precise little flyer as well. So let's do a bit of a range test and get best part of 80 meters in the garden. If I come up here, oh, that's going to be well over 80 meters, and give it a chance to have a go with the FPV as well. Yeah, nice. Yeah, that's good. Oh yeah, the FPV is working really well. Well, that's on 80 meters there, easy. We're actually out into the field, so that's 100 meters. I won't go too far. I always get a little bit nervous with these things, especially where we've got loads of trees around as well. There we go. Yeah, and back towards us. That's nice. Yeah, altitude hold works really well. And like I say, it's no position hold with it. I don't know if that camera's... Ah, that's better. I had the camera pointing slightly downwards. Oh, that works really well. Really nice. Yeah, a little bit of FPV flying. I can't see the quad now. That's good. I prefer goggles to screens. I'm sure everyone does. But no, that's actually flying really nicely. Yeah, and it held signal very well. The other side of the house is not a good place. It's an old house with thick walls, so it's always a really good test for an FPV system. Whee! That was a bit close. Let's just the wind sort of catching it a bit now. You know, and I've used the FPV totally on that. That is fine. Really nice, actually. All seems to work pretty well, actually. Just that I'm just not convinced about whether there's any jello on that screen. There isn't a lot on the actual screen, but whether or not there is on the video. I think that's all covered. The only thing I didn't do was actually have a look at this screen. I've been so busy flying and enjoying myself. Let me just have a quick look at this screen, see what we get. It's a very gentle takeoff. It's rather nice. Yeah, so we've got how fast we're going. Doesn't have the distance from me, but it does have the height, which is saying 4 meters. Is that right, I suppose? And how many minutes we've been flying for? Well, how many seconds, sorry, we've been flying for. Whoa, that wind's quite strong out there. I can see it. Whoa, it's moving those trees quite a bit. Yeah, 30 meters, that's about right. Well, we've not got the strongest of quads to fight against that wind. And it doesn't come down particularly fast, so I'll bring it back down. Yeah, so that did 30 meters, no problem at all. So it doesn't tell you the distance from the quad to the transmitter, but it certainly does tell you the height, and it's rather good. I don't think I've had any breakup on this screen either.
So what do I think of it? Well, basically, nice little quad, nice sort of package. Get the negatives out of the way first of all. Didn't like the jello on the video. Got quite a lot of that, and there's a few reasons why that's going on. And one of them is the actual anti-dampening they've used here. It now actually moves quite freely, but the way it comes, it actually has these little bolts, which are metal, and they go through the anti-dampening, vibration dampening little grommets sort of there, and they actually hold across there and there in 3 places, and what they do is they actually stop it doing that, so it can't get any free movement, to be perfectly honest. And because they're bolts that basically go through and hold it this way as well, it can't even get movement up and down to use the proper anti-dampening that's in there already. So I've taken that off. It's a bit better, but to be honest, it hasn't got rid of all those vibrations, or all the jello, certainly. I think that's down to a couple of things. One, the motors on these always tend to give a vibration through the actual quad itself, and the other thing is you do get a bit of float on these. The way that it's designed with the props, you can hear that going there. You do get a little bit of float up and down. Couple of ways to get rid of that. Nylon washers in there just to pad it out. You can't restrict it moving freely, obviously, but that would just stop that float moving quite so much. Would be a way around. Or the other thing is to dampen this down more so that the vibration doesn't transfer from the quad down to the actual camera itself. I'm just reviewing it the way it comes. I could get rid of all that jello, but then that's not actually the package you bought, so I'm trying to keep it honest, to be perfectly honest. The actual quality of the video wasn't bad. It was 720p and it was quite reasonable, actually. I was quite pleased with it. Now the FPV worked really well on it. That worked superb, and I'm even flying it on goggles, as you can see there, just to show you that you can use a 5.8 on goggles as well. But the screen was really good. These screens have been going for ages, actually, with WLToys, and they sort of got it right at the beginning, so they do work nice and clear and easy to use. And one charge usually lasts about 2 or 3 flights, but the flight length on this thing, I was getting, if I was gentle with it, I was getting up to 15 minutes, which is quite impressive. But for 15 minutes on this battery is no huge surprise, but the thing was, with this proprietary battery, it does take 3 hours to charge with the charger they supply, so that's another slight little negative. But you know, there's a trade-off somewhere around here of how they're going to sell these things at these prices, and whether or not you have a charger that will do it in an hour. I can adapt it to use it on my hobby grade charger, and that will be about an hour, but as it comes, you're looking at 3 hours for charging. The transmitter itself is really nice. The new style and everything works really well. Nice and precise and nice and smooth as well. Everything feels really good on it. The buttons worked every single time I pressed them, which was rather nice. It was comfortable to use, yeah, no problems at all. And like I say, you got those really long flights as well. So all in all, I really like it. It's just that bit of jello on the video. But if this is the package that you really like, I'm sure you could get rid of that.